Hi, I'm Guy, this is Mangusto Garage and I'm about to drive my 1989 Lancia Delta HF Turbo all the way down to Portugal. Hopefully. So, I'm about to drive my HF Turbo down to Portugal. It's just had its first MOT in about 6 years, in which time it's only done 400 miles, so it's practically new and unused. It's meant what could possibly go wrong. Everything could go wrong, Guy, everything. So I made it to Plymouth Ferry, of course, don't look surprised, just to prove it. Bloody ferry over there, it's fucking raining, damn you. Lancias don't like rain, neither do I, that's why I'm going to Portugal. Right, yeah, get loaded up in a minute. Always back of the queue, look. Oh, at least I'm in the queue. I had my reservations, as did you I'm sure, but she made it. Didn't miss a beat. In fact, I don't think it's even dropped any fluids. Let's have a look. Oh, not a drip. Feeling quietly confident about this. What I'm not feeling confident about is the stuff I've got in the back. Spanish customs borders guys are gonna get well excited by this lot. Oh, and if I get caught with them, that's about an hour and probably a few €100 worth of bloody tax I'll have to pay. But yeah, go on son, give it some. That's it, full boost. Yeah. Well, other than getting up for a little snack, I've just spent about 15 hours in bed. I'm not sure how much of that I actually slept. The boat was banging its way across bloody English Channel. It was rough. Bay Biscay's been really flat though, so I've got some sleep. Just had a shower, feeling a little bit fresher than I was before. Just come off night shifts and got over a bit of man flu, but yeah, I think I'm ready for the drive. One little top tip: if you're on a road trip and you spot a toilet roll going, have it. Canada 2018 taught me that one. Oh my life, I made it through customs with nothing to pay. Unfortunately, no cavity search this time, but better luck next time, eh? Yeah, time to hit the road. I'm so happy with that, so happy. What can I say? This old girl is a trooper. Made it down, didn't miss a beat, cruised at about 70 all the way, and yeah, literally sipped the fuel. I used 1 tank of fuel, and in fact half of that tank was the 6-year-old petrol that had been sitting in it, so I only had half a tank of fresh fuel in it, and yeah, did it in 1 tank. Yeah, really pleased with that. As I said, so happy that didn't get any hassle from customs. I mean, it's not so much the money, there's nothing worth any silly money in it, it's just it takes them about an hour to do all the paperwork, and then you've got to pay, and it's just a right old faff. But yeah, the guy who kind of sorted me out and looked over the car and stuff like that, he saw me from about 5 cars back. He didn't even, he wasn't even close enough to see the stuff that was in the back. But he pulled me out of the line. I was like, oh, here we go. And he had a little look around the car. I showed him the stuff in the back, and I said, oh, it's all stuff for this car, like, bits of roll cage. I said these were like new wings to go, new quarter wings down there. I mean, they're not, they're rear quarter wings from a Cortina. There's even a Capri gearbox hidden under there somewhere, and there's about 700 quid's worth of domestic house electrical stuff in there. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with that. But yeah, once he got rid of his game face, he was like, yeah, I love the car, mate. He absolutely loved it, which is lucky, and that's probably why he pulled me out of the queue so early. See, I was worried that I was going to get properly done, but no, really pleased with that. So, having just driven this all the way to Portugal, it's probably about time I gave you, well, it's a story really, because you don't really know anything about it. So, this 1989 Lancia Delta HF Turbo, just the front wheel drive, it's not the fancy Integrale unfortunately. But, so I originally owned this, me and my mate Lee bought it for about 400 quid in 2001. It had no MOT. Eventually I bought him out and I got it on the road. But then when I bought an Integrale, I gave it to my dad. So he used it for work a bit. And then he sold it to a mate of mine called Mike. Now Mike happens to live about 2 hours away from where I am now. So it's kind of come home to him really. But yeah, so then he owned it for a year or so, and then I ended up buying it back off him. So and then like that was in standard form, and then the transformation kind of began and things got out of hand, which is why it looks the way it does now. So I guess the best place to start is at the front, the business end. So let's start right at the front. So it's got Integrale aluminium radiator, keeps it nice and cool on track. Homemade breather catch tank, 1 litre as per MSA regulations. There's a Cetrab oil cooler. That happened in Nürburgring after the original Chinese one fractured and started leaking oil. That was great. Front mount intercooler. Pipe work underneath is a bit interesting. It's kind of hard to tell here, but here we go. So that is a boost pipe, which I've integrated into the front cross member, just as a nice tidy way of getting it across to the other side of the intercooler without it getting hit underneath and stuff like that. Forward recirculating dump valve. Turbo's a bit interesting. So Collins wastegate actuator there keeps things stable. So that turbo is a bit of a homebrew effort I made out of basically it's got the hot end of Fiat Coupe 20 valve turbo, and the centre housing and cold end are off a Saab 9.5 turbo, so it kind of equates to a T25, but it works really well in this application. I can't complain at that. Fiat Chroma turbo inlet manifold, looks a bit more like a kind of Honda style with a nice long run, as the original one used to curve round back on itself, and the inlet plenum would be kind of about there, so this flows a lot better. That is a Ford Fiesta blower motor with a homemade heater box with the original heat exchanger inside it. Injectors are standard there, even though this is 1.6, they're the same as the 2 litre Integrale. We've got Integrale Evo master cylinder and servo for the brakes. Speaking of which, the brakes are Integrale Evo 4 pots with homemade calipers, brackets and EBC turbo discs. Homemade strut top mounts, purple bit anyway. That bit is HKS, and they are Impreza GC8 coilovers, believe it or not, with a heavily modified lower clevis to fit the original hubs. Moving inside, I've got modified steering column to bring it back, because I'm pretty tall, so why not get the weight back. Used to be, this level here used to be mounted up there, hence this wedge shape here to bring it down and back. The custom made steering shaft. Yeah, not a lot in the way of dash. Relocated the EC up there, which makes it better for mapping and whatnot. Got custom machined blah 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 clevis for the shift linkages, and by moving that up and down you can change the throw on it. Another bit I machined up down there and had anodized. It's all stainless. I even machined the gear knob, because why not? Same with handbrake. So the rear suspension is interesting. Again, I made these myself, had them anodized. Now these rear suspension legs are off Mazda RX-7. They're off the front of a Mazda RX-7, because I just found them and they were cheap, and I thought, let's have a go at making them work. That took some considerable effort to make the lower clevises. Hard to tell there, but they're all like pinch clamped on there. Bit crazy. Speaking of crazy, it's a load of radius arms, all rose jointed, trailing arms also stainless and rose jointed, custom drops for the rear anti-roll bar with the linkage. Made the linkage there with this extra bracket here, and made these bracing arms here, which aren't normally there, go all the way up to the top where the toe point normally is. That just gives the rear beam a bit of rigidity. And of course, how could I forget the weirdest thing about this car? So the sunroof was rusty, it was a bit knackered, it didn't need to be there, it was extra weight that I just didn't need. I used to shower rust down on me while I was driving it, so removed that, and in its place went a road close sign, courtesy of my mate Josh. The safety devices roll cage is actually out of a Nova, believe it or not, which I shortened a bit, made up some plates, strengthening plates. The fuel pickup is standard, however the fuel system definitely isn't. So we got a swirl pot set up with a facet lift pump and then a Walbro 255 feeding from the bottom of this homebrew swirl pot through a filter, of course, can't forget that. And that's pretty much it, I think.